Welcome to Chrono Box today. We're taking a journey back through history to look at every major recorded case one by one, from possessed nuns in 17th century France to the chilling events that inspired a horror movie classic. This is a deep dive into the heart of real-life stories of demonic possession. Tell me in comment section which is horrible and your favorite, and also subscribe my channel to watch more stories. Now let's get started. Number 1. The Loudun Possessions, 1634. Our story starts in 17th century France, in the small town of Loudun. Inside a convent, a series of strange and awful events started around 1632. It began when a group of nuns, led by their head, Jean des Anges, claimed that demons were visiting and tormenting them in the night. It wasn't long before these private terrors became a public spectacle. The nuns would be thrown into uncontrollable fits, scream insults against God, and act in ways that completely shocked the community. All of that panic needed someone to blame, and it found a target in a charming, but controversial, local priest named Urbain Grandier. Grandier had powerful enemies, and when the nuns accused him of being the sorcerer who sent the demons, it was all the excuse his rivals needed. The Catholic Church started an investigation that led to a trial that got a lot of attention. Even with a shocking lack of real proof, Grandier was accused of making a deal with the devil. He was found guilty of witchcraft, cruelly tortured, and finally burned to death in 1634. Today, the Loudun Possessions are mostly seen not as a real demonic event, but as a sad case of mass panic, political backstabbing, and extreme religious beliefs gone horribly wrong. Number 2. George Lucan's The Yatin Demoniac, 1788. Let's jump forward over 100 years to England. In 1788, a tailor from the village of Yatin named George Lucans became well known in his town. For almost 20 years, Lucans had suffered from strange, violent fits, which he said all started after a mysterious slap during a Christmas play. Doctors couldn't figure it out, and his behavior just got stranger. He'd sing religious songs backward, bark like a dog, and speak in voices that were clearly not his own. Lucans himself claimed he was possessed by 7 separate demons and insisted that only 7 church officials, performing a ritual together, could free him. Enough people believed his story that on Friday, June 13, 1788, he got his wish. 7 clergymen met at a church in Bristol to perform the exorcism. According to the priests, it worked. They claimed they faced each of the 7 demons before casting them out. Afterward, Lucans was said to be cured and lived a quiet life. Still, the case was something people argued a lot about. Many people, including local doctors, said Lucans was either very mentally ill or was faking the whole thing in a very clever way. Number 3. Clara Germana Cele, 1906. Now we travel to Natal, South Africa, at the start of the 20th century. Clara Germana Cele was a 16-year-old orphan at a Christian mission. She was raised in the church, but her life took a dark turn in 1906 when she supposedly confessed to making a deal with Satan. Soon after, Clara's behavior became very upsetting. Witnesses, including nuns and priests, wrote down a shocking list of strange events. They claimed Clara could speak and understand languages she'd never been taught, like French, German, and Polish. The most stunning claim, that she would float in the air, sometimes several feet off the ground. Reports also said she had superhuman strength and that her skin would burn at the touch of holy water. 2 priests were given permission to perform an exorcism. The ritual lasted for 2 days, and during that time, Clara was said to be incredibly violent, even trying to strangle one of the priests with a piece of his religious clothing. According to the stories, the exorcism ended when the spirit was forced out. However, any relief didn't last long. Clara died from heart failure about 6 years later. Number 4. Anna Eklund/Emma Schmidt, 1928. Next up, we head to the United States and a convent in Earling, Iowa. In 1928, The 46-year-old woman, known as Anna Eklund, whose real name is thought to be Emma Schmidt, was brought in for one of the most intensely recorded exorcisms in American history. Schmidt had apparently shown signs of possession since she was 14. Her family claimed she'd been cursed by her own father and aunt, who people said were practicing witchcraft. For 23 very difficult days, a monk named Father Theophilus Riesinger led the ritual. The things people said they saw were extreme. Witnesses claimed Schmidt floated, her body stuck to the wall high above a door. She spoke in many languages and in voices that were said to be various demons, including Beelzebub and Judas Iscariot. She also threw up strange materials and reacted violently to religious objects. After the non-stop 3-week ritual, Father Riesinger declared the exorcism a success. While he claimed victory, some reports say Anna's suffering wasn't entirely over and that she continued to have less serious, more manageable episodes of possession afterward. Section 5. Roland Doe / Robbie Mannheim, 1949. There is probably no exorcism case more famous than that of the 14-year-old boy known by the fake names Roland Doe or Robbie Mannheim. This is the case that directly inspired the novel and the famous horror film, The Exorcist. It all started in early 1949 at the boy's home in Maryland with strange noises, like scratching from inside the walls. Soon, furniture started moving on its own, and religious objects would shake whenever the boy was near. Desperate, the family turned to the Catholic Church. Several priests, including Father William Bowdern, took on the case. As they started their work, things got much worse. Scratches and red marks would appear on the boy's body, at one point supposedly spelling out the word Louis, which caused the family to move him to St. Louis to continue the ritual. Priests reported the boy speaking in a deep, rough voice, showing amazing strength and floating. After weeks of intense exorcism rituals, he was finally declared free. He went on to live a completely normal life, and while it's often said he had no memory of what happened, this is difficult to prove. Section 6. Michael Taylor, 1974. Not all of these stories end well. In 1974, in the English town of Ossett, a case took a truly terrible turn. Michael Taylor, a local butcher, started acting strangely after joining a Christian prayer group. His wife, Kristen, became worried, especially about his relationship with the group's leader, who was not an official priest. After an argument, Michael's behavior got out of control, and he began talking about an evil inside him. The prayer group, along with 2 ministers, decided an exorcism was the only answer. The ritual was an all-night marathon, lasting over 8 hours. The priests claimed they cast out over 40 demons but believed 3 were still inside him when they sent him home to rest. Insanity, murder, and violence. The results were immediate and disastrous. Shortly after getting home, Michael Taylor brutally murdered his wife, Kristen, with his bare hands. He was later found wandering the streets covered in blood. At his trial, he was found not guilty because of insanity and was sent to a mental hospital. The case is a chilling example of what can happen when very strong religious feelings and mental illness mix in a bad way. Section 7. Anneliese Michel, 1976. In Germany, the story of Anneliese Michel is one of the most sad and controversial exorcism cases of modern times. Anneliese was a very religious Catholic young woman who started having seizures as a teen. She was getting help from mental health doctors for years, but her condition only got worse. She started having terrifying visions of demonic faces, hearing voices, and developed a strong dislike for religious objects like crucifixes. Convinced she was possessed, her family stopped her medical treatment and begged the church for help. In 1975, 2 priests got permission to perform the exorcism. Over the next 10 months, they performed 67 sessions. During this time, Anneliese refused to eat, believing that starving herself would drive out the demons. Her behavior grew more and more extreme. She would bark like a dog, eat spiders, and speak in voices she claimed belonged to Lucifer, Cain and Judas. On July 1st, 1976, Anneliese Michel died because she didn't have enough food or water, weighing only 68 pounds. Her parents and the two priests were later found guilty of causing her death through carelessness, starting a huge argument around the world about faith, mental illness, and who was to blame that is still going on today. Section 8. Arne Choyan Johnson, 1981. Our final case takes us to a Connecticut courtroom for the first time in U.S. history that a person on trial tried to use demonic possession as a legal defense. It became known as the Devil Made Me Do It case. It all started with the seeming possession of an 11-year-old boy, David Glatzel. His family called in paranormal investigators Ed and Lauren Warren, who were there for a series of intense prayer sessions. Though the Catholic Church has denied that any officially approved exorcism took place. Also at these rituals was Arne Choyan Johnson, the boyfriend of David's sister. During one session, Johnson supposedly taunted one of the spirits, daring it to leave the boy and enter him instead. In the months that followed, Johnson's behavior reportedly changed. Then, in February 1981, during a heated argument, Johnson stabbed and killed his landlord, Alan Bono. When the case went to trial, Johnson's lawyer argued that he wasn't responsible for his actions because he'd been possessed. The judge, however, ruled that such a defense was impossible to prove and therefore was not allowed in court. Arne Johnson was ultimately found guilty of manslaughter and served 5 years in prison. CTA. From political schemes to sad deaths and important legal battles, the history of exorcism is a dark and complicated one. If you found this journey into these terrifying stories interesting, make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more investigations into the unknown. And let us know in the comments which one of these cases bothers you the most. Conclusion. These stories, burned into history, blur the lines between the supernatural, the way our minds work, and faith. They leave us with haunting questions that have no easy answers. What is the true nature of evil? Is it some force from the outside that can invade our world, or is it a darkness that lives deep inside us all? The search for that answer might be the most terrifying journey of them all.